So, Magui Corceiro, depending on who you ask, she's either an actress, a model, an entrepreneur, Portugal's it girl, or cheater, clout chaser, a home wrecker, a manipulator, and apparently the root cause of every man's downfall since the beginning of time. Is wild, and the gap between who she actually is and who the internet has determined she must be is stark. And today we are going to unpack that gap. Welcome to the first episode of the WAG Files After Dark. I am your narrator, Aaisha, and we are going to get into it today. We're going to get into the gossip, the rumours, the narratives, the psychology of it all, the projections, and why this 23-year-old woman manages to trigger the entire football and F1 fandom at the same time. Some of this might challenge you and some of this might shift your perspective, but that is the point of After Dark. So buckle up because we're about to get into it. Chapter 1. Who is Magui? Before we talk about footballers, drivers, TikTok detectives, and Reddit snark pages, we need to take a look at who Magui actually is. So, Magui, full name, Margarida Matias Ferreira Corceiro, was born on the 26th of October 2002. She is the daughter of two doctors and she grew up in the small town of Santarém in Portugal. And Magui, like so many of us with childhood dreams, wanted to be on TV, and she made it happen. So, how Magui's career started out. Her modelling career began almost by chance. An agent saw her childhood photos and invited her along to a casting. When she was age 10, she walked her first ever runway, and at age 12, she signed with Central Models, one of Portugal's top modelling agencies. So at 17, Magui lands her first ever acting role in the Portuguese telenovela Prisioneira. Appeared on Dancing with the Stars, Portugal. She appeared in more telenovelas and an Amazon Prime series, A Fazenda. And she also starred in the 2025 film Hotel Amor. By her early 20s, she was one of Portugal's most recognised faces. She had campaigns with Armani Beauty, Intimissimi, Alo Yoga, Tate, and Vogue Portugal. She has an entrepreneurial side. She co-founded the ethical swimwear brand Mrs. Swimwear. With 2 million followers on Instagram. She's got over 800,000 followers on TikTok, and Forbes Portugal named her the most influential person on Instagram. But all that visibility came with years of scrutiny. She's openly said that she developed defense mechanisms as a teen because the commentary started before her brain had even finished developing. Before she had turned 20, she lived through rumors, sexualization, surveillance, public shaming, parasocial obsession, accusations without evidence, football fandom misogyny, and tabloid fixation. People forget that Magui didn't just appear in F1, she's been in the public eye since her childhood. Okay, now we're moving on to chapter 3. So, what I've just mentioned now will set the tone for that and hopefully help to make sense of what we discuss in the next chapter. Chapter 3, the controversies. If you've spent more than 2 minutes on either the F1 or the football side of the internet, it's likely you've already seen Magui's list of controversies. We're going to take a look at some of the controversies that surround Magui. Of course, not all of them because there's too many and I am not Wikipedia. If you want, go and do your own research, but we're going to look at the big ones. We're kicking off with the one that refuses to die, the Pedro Porro saga. And this is a rumour that became a fact. The infamous nightclub clip. It's dark, it's blurry, but we see a tall man and a blonde woman. We can't actually tell who they are because it's so blurry it's hard to distinguish. But the internet decided it's her, it's Magui, it's Pedro, they're cheating, case closed. And despite that, there's no confirmation. Pedro Porro has denied it, João Félix has defended her, and there's zero verifiable evidence. But people preferred the story that she cheated. And then there's the cheat kiss clip that people love to weaponize. And the thing here is, in Portuguese culture, that's very much normal behaviour. It's normal to kiss people on the cheek. It's normal to touch people. It's normal to be friendly and affectionate. Like, that's just their culture. That's how they are. But in the Anglo culture and in other cultures around the world, that is not seen in the same way. That's seen as seduction. It's you're being flirtatious. But in their culture, it's not seen as that. So we are kind of judging her and we're judging that clip from, oh, she's cheating, but it's not really that, she's just being friendly. Let's talk about that one incident that nobody can seem to let go of, and nobody actually knows what really happened. Back in 2020, Magui posted a Instagram story of a man in loose boxer shorts. The clip was up for a few moments and then she deleted it. But of course, the internet never forgets. Most people assumed it was João Félix, and that was enough to convince them that it was. And then headlines exploded, TikToks multiplied, but there was no confirmation of who the man in that picture was. Because online, facts don't matter, narrative does. And what makes this even more ironic is the fact that Magui has been a victim of revenge porn herself. When she was 16, her ex leaked intimate photos of her online. The case was taken to court and she talked about how deeply she was traumatized from it. So imagine surviving that at 16. And this idea that, oh, she leaks things on purpose is a bit absurd. And I just want to zoom out for a moment and I want to draw a point from my own religion, Islam. There is a very specific ruling about accusations of cheating and sexual wrongdoing. You can't accuse a woman of something like cheating without having multiple witnesses there to see the act for themselves. And it's considered one of the biggest sins to slander a woman without evidence. Why? Because accusations stick, rumours stain, and women have to suffer the social punishment disproportionately. But on the internet, people throw these rumours around like they're confetti with zero proof, zero context, and zero responsibility. So when people say, oh, she cheated 3 times, or she leaked those photos on purpose, I'm like, what?
Where's your proof? Where's the evidence?
But you don't have any. You have a 4-second Instagram story that should never have been posted, and then you have a fandom who's hell-bent on villainizing a teenage girl. And this wasn't a scandal, it was just a slip-up, but it was blown into mythology. And this next one, some Lando fans eat this rumor for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It is the alleged argument or fight with Lando's ex, Luisa Oliveira, at the nightclub in Portugal. Was it verified? No. Was it seen clearly? No. And was it confirmed by anybody there? No. But it fit the narrative fans wanted, that 2 women are fighting over a man. It was about Lando, because it has to be, right? And then some people said it was just a nightclub misunderstanding. And some say nothing happened at all. Internet treated it as truth, because it supported an archetype of women as enemies, women as rivals, women as emotional and irrational. The truth is, we don't know. Nobody does. And real life is not as dramatic as the gossip sometimes portrays it to be. And another rumour that's been wildly blown out of proportion is the so-called beef between Magui and Kika Gomez. So for those of you who don't know, Kika Gomez is Pierre Gasly's girlfriend. For the fallout, Kika and Magui were actually really close friends. And Kika wasn't just another WAG, she was actually Magui's entry point into Formula 1. They travelled together, they were posting together, they acted like sisters, and it genuinely seemed like they were bonded. And then the friendship ended. They stopped following each other, they stopped interacting online, and they drifted apart. But the internet, as always, immediately decided that this was a betrayal, backstabbing, jealousy, or some kind of dramatic friendship fallout. But here's the reality, friendships end all the time, especially when you're young and you're still figuring out who you are. And sometimes, yes, it's resentment, sometimes it's heartbreak, sometimes it's miscommunication, and sometimes it's not that dramatic. Sometimes people just outgrow each other. And there's a video of Kika speaking about somebody who spoke ill of her and how she was hurt by it. And the internet instantly decided that has to be Magui that she's talking about.
There's people that need to gossip 24/7, that say bad things about me that are not true, people that I hate to listen, that this person that I spoke like once in my life, once when I was like 13, is now saying these things about me. Like, I hate people that live to gossip. You know what I mean?
Even though Kika never named anybody in that video, and it could have been about anybody. And influencer friendships, they end all the time and often privately. And I think this reveals more about internet culture than the girls themselves. People want women to be in conflict. They crave this narrative of female rivalry. And the truth is probably mundane and human, and not the soap opera that fans are imagining. And then we have the Saudi bathroom sign controversy. So years ago, Maggie liked this post, and this caused some controversy. It was insensitive, but she apologized, acknowledged the mistake, and moved on. But the thing is, she apologized in Portuguese. But then English-speaking TikTok came along and resurfaced it years later. It's become a new scandal, even though it was long resolved. And this is what we call resurfacing culture. So the internet will dig up old mistakes when it needs new entertainment. And then we have N-word clip. So Maggie was actually saying something in Portuguese, but it sounds like the N-word. And of course, fans are very quick to clip that, take it out of context, and assume she's saying a racial slur, which she wasn't. The word has a completely different meaning. It's a Portuguese slang word. Native speakers defended her, linguists explained what it actually meant, but Anglo English-speaking audiences assumed that they knew better. And it's a cultural misinterpretation at its worst. We're basing this on phonetics, not facts. And then there's this myth that Maggie never apologizes. Like, she does all these things and, oh yeah, she made mistakes, but she never apologizes. But the truth is, she does apologize. People who followed her before she blew up, they knew that she did apologize, but she usually was apologizing in Portuguese, her native language. She's apologized, she's clarified things, but she's done that in Portuguese to the Portuguese media. And just because you didn't see it or you didn't understand it when you heard it, doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I had to go into the depths of WAG on Reddit in order to research this video, and I will say, proceed at your own peril. I lost brain cells I will never get back, but one of the funniest internet conspiracies I came across was Maggie has no friends in the paddock. As if the F1 paddock is a classroom and friendships are assigned like a seating chart. Because the truth is, WAGs are private. Yes, we might see little bits from WAGs and we think, oh, we know everything about them, but we don't really. They only show us so much, and there is a lot of stuff that they keep private, including friendships. They don't live in the same country. Many only meet at races, 10 to 15 times a year, and most of them are supporting their boyfriends when they're there. Like, they are in their respective garages supporting their men. Hate to break it to you. Most importantly, adults do not need a girl group to validate their existence. Because Maggie, she's 23, she's got her own career. She travels, she works, she has her own life. And the question shouldn't be, why does she have no friends in the paddock? It should be, why are you obsessed with the idea that she needs to? And of course, there's more controversies, but you can put your detective hat on and go and find them for yourself. Maggie didn't become controversial because she's scandalous. She became controversial because she entered fame with 3 things that breed hostility online: youth, beauty, and hypervisibility. And then combine that with football toxicity, F1 toxicity, parasocial obsession, red pill misogyny, cultural mistranslation, jealousy, resurfacing culture, TikTok moral panic, and the internet's love to villainize young women. And you get a perfect storm. We've unpacked the controversies, now let's try and make sense of them. Chapter 3. The psychology of Magui Corceiro. Maggie's not just a list of rumours and clips. She's a product of early fame, online voyeurism. She entered fame at 16, the exact age that psychologists say identity is still forming. Regular teens, they experiment privately, they make mistakes privately, but famous teens, they experiment publicly. And their mistakes aren't just considered mistakes, they become part of their character. This is known as magnified adulthood. It's where teen behaviour gets rewritten as moral flaws. Her identity didn't form naturally like the rest of us, it formed under surveillance. Maggie entered fame before her identity was finished, literally. According to psychoanalyst Erik Erikson, adolescence is the stage of identity versus role confusion. It's the years when normal teens are allowed to experiment with their personality, their boundaries, emotions, relationships, and mistakes privately. But Maggie didn't get that. She became nationally recognisable at 16. She was dating João Félix, a national star, at 17. She was on TV, in tabloids, and under mass scrutiny whilst her brain was still wiring itself. And the world was just waiting for her to make her next mistake. There's no doubt that Maggie is definitely one of the most hated WAGs of this generation. But we're going to use a little bit of sociology to try and understand why that truly is. Horton and Wall's concept of parasocial relationships explains why so much of that hatred is directed towards her. A parasocial relationship is a relationship we have with somebody who doesn't know we exist. It's one-sided, it's emotionally real to the fan, and it's completely unknown and imaginary to the celebrity or the famous person. And modern fandom, especially in football and Formula 1, encourages this. Teams market athletes as soft, funny, relatable, boyfriend coded, because emotional attachment equals money. Parasocial relationships have a dark side. So when a celebrity begins dating someone, parasocial fans feel rejected. Their emotional fantasy is disrupted. So the logic becomes, I invested emotionally in this man, but now his real girlfriend has come and taken him from me. It's irrational, but it drives entire fan bases. I mean, just take a look at K-pop, for example. That is literally the model of so many K-pop groups. They aren't allowed to date because they have to uphold the illusion of parasocial relationships. And that's why WAGs get attacked more than athletes do. Not because they did anything wrong per se, but because they disrupt the threat of the fantasy. And Lando has some of the most parasocial fans within the fandom. Like, his fans are off the charts parasocial. Magui didn't take Zhao from anyone. She didn't take Lando from anyone. But parasocial fans feel like she did. The hate towards Magui, it's not casual, it's organized. We see TikTok clusters, Reddit threads, Discord servers, and entire accounts dedicated to hating on her. Take a look at Dr. John Sula's online disinhibition effect. We can understand why the comments are so extreme. So when people are anonymous, they're unseen and unaccountable, they lose empathy. And this creates toxic disinhibition. We see insults, threats, cruelty. We see moral inflation, which people start to treat small actions like major sins. And narcissistic validation, which is the practice of boosting your self-worth by tearing others down. And Magui ticks every box that triggers insecure people online. She's young, she's beautiful, she's visible, she dates high status men, she's successful, she's feminine, and she's fashionable. And people project onto her. Men project their insecurities. Women project their comparison. Parasocial fans project their fantasies. And the red pill world projects its misogyny. And you're probably thinking, how on earth does red pill, manosphere, culture tie into this? But it does, and let me tell you how. Red pill ideology, it's not niche anymore, it's gone mainstream. It lives on TikTok, it lives in podcasts, it lives in football fan culture, Reddit threads, Twitter, and the comment section of literally every F1 page. F1 historically is one of the most sexist sports on earth. It's built on masculine mythology, danger, dominance, speed, stoicism. So it's no surprise that manosphere logic has fused with the F1 fandom. And we can see this for how people blame Magui for the downfall of Zhao's career. Because the truth is, Zhao's stagnation can be explained through football. So for those of you who watch football, Zhao was one of those players that people thought was going to be the next Ronaldo. And he was showing so much potential. When he was 19, he was valued at 126 million euros. That is a lot of money for a teenager. So that's a lot of money, but it's a lot of pressure to put on a teenager to play to that level. He played for Atletico Madrid, and that's the team that didn't really fit his creative style of play. His spell at Chelsea was inconsistent, spell at Barcelona was unstable. Nothing really clicked for Zhao long term. And by 2025, he ends up at the Saudi club Al Nassr. And the Saudi league is nowhere near as competitive as the European leagues. And these are all football reasons, not relationship reasons. But red pill ideology it simplifies everything. It says, if a man fails, blame the woman. And this is textbook scapegoating from sociologist Renee Girard. When a community feels disappointment, they select an easy target, so they don't have to face the complexity of reality. So Magui started dating Lando, who's emotionally expressive, and he's thriving in his career now. The manosphere logic escalated, and it became, she left Zhao, who's a declining player, so she must be toxic. Now she's gone on to Lando, who's a successful driver, so she's opportunistic. And that ideology didn't just stay in some corner of the internet. It shaped how people interpret every move she makes. Historically, male drivers, male footballers, male rock stars, and male actors would cycle through women like outfits, and society shrugged. But women can't date twice, forget twice, even once without being labelled. climbers, cheaters, manipulators, immoral, because misogyny doesn't need logic, it just needs a target. And if we bring in Nancy Etkoff's theory of the beauty paradox, it helps us understand that beauty increases opportunity, and it certainly has for Maggie, there's no denying that. But it also increases hatred. The prettier the woman, the harsher the judgment. And she copes like a normal girl. You know, she tries to be kind, she tries to be relatable, she tries to present herself as being a good person, she tries not to offend, tries to be seen as funny and harmless. And she's doing all of that whilst being watched by millions. And the mismatch between normal girl behaviour and the extreme environment, it creates contradictions that the internet loves to pounce on. So once you peel back all the gossip, you actually see a human being underneath. You could argue that she's chaotic and problematic and conniving and manipulative, or you can argue she's a girl who grew up too fast. She was shaped by early fame, who was misunderstood across cultures, punished for being beautiful. A girl dealing with the misogyny around her, carrying all trauma, being with parasocial projection, and a girl who's still becoming herself. And I think in order to understand Maggie, we have to look at the context, not just the controversy. Chapter 4, the ecosystems Maggie orbits. Maggie was always famous, but dating João Félix and dating Lando Norris are not the same social reality. Football and F1 have completely different fan cultures. Football fandom is tribal, it's local, it's nationalist, it's male dominated online and offline. It's blame oriented and it's emotionally and physically violent. Whereas the F1 fandom, especially in this day and age, is hyper online, it's global, parasocial. It's now dominated by chronically logged on teens and young adults. Obsession equals loyalty, and mythology equals reality. In football, Maggie was known, but in F1, she became a narrative. And Lando's fanbase is uniquely parasocial. It's emotional, defensive, it's delusional in pockets, and it treats him like a fictional boyfriend rather than an adult. So when Maggie appeared in that ecosystem, pretty, visible, stylish, foreign, young, the internet projected all that unresolved parasocial obsession onto her. And it wasn't because she's more problematic, it was the fact that audiences became more unhinged. So I mentioned previously how João's career has stagnated and how that's got nothing to do with Maggie. One thing that has to be acknowledged is, whilst João's career has stagnated, Lando's is doing better than ever. He's currently fighting for world champion, he's getting podiums week in, week out. We're actually seeing an emotional maturity forming with him now. He's got media charm and he is one of the faces of modern F1. And what do we have? We've got two men, two storylines, we've got two fandoms that are emotionally invested, and then you've got one woman right in the middle. And to João fans that really believed he was going to be the next Ronaldo, she's that girl who left when he declined. And then to parasocial Lando fans, she's the girl who stole their boyfriend. And these two groups hate her for opposite reasons, but they still unite in misogyny. And it's not a coincidence, it's a projection. And another narrative that I seem to be seeing everywhere, Maggie and Lando are hiding each other. Or Lando's hiding Maggie, like, what? Let's just unpack it. So, Maggie and Lando. I'm gonna start with the timeline, just to illustrate where this began and where it is now. Okay, we don't have a perfectly documented timeline, but from what's visible on the internet, this is a rough arc that we can build. So they're first linked around May 2023, and we see them around Monaco, and that's their first time being linked together. And then 2023 and 2024 is the on and off again era. So they're spotted together a few times, they seem distant, they then reappear. Some outlets reported that they split in August of 24 before they quietly reconciled. We get the hard launch. And I think the first real moment of this was at, well, we saw Maggie at Monaco in 2025, but I think the real, okay, we're together is in Hungary, because we see them kiss, so it's like, okay, they're together now. But then I think Lando spoke about Maggie in his Vogue article that he did. Calls her someone he can completely be himself with. She's down to earth, and she's wise to the hate that comes with fame. Okay, there's the timeline, and I'm going to tell you why it's important. So I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, they were on and off again, but you got to understand this. They have both been burned before. Maggie went through national level toxicity when she was dating João. She was sexualized, hated, judged, and lied about. And her normal teen behaviour was turned into a scandal. And then Lando saw his exes harassed, he got death threats, his exes got death threats. He saw parasocial fans get territorial, and he was also dealing with the pressures of fame and being an F1 driver at such a young age. And he was also dealing with becoming a global celebrity at 19. So what do two traumatized but self-aware adults do? They choose privacy, they choose softness, and they choose boundaries. There's no influencer style posting, oversharing, it's just quiet, just peace from the world and from their opinions. And there's also one more thing, and it's really important. It's neuroscience. When we look at Lando, he's just turned 26, right? His prefrontal cortex has only just developed in the last year. The prefrontal cortex, it is the area of the brain. It's responsible for emotional regulation, impulse control, long-term planning, and maturity, and that's only just developed in the last year. Which means old Lando, so from the ages of like 19 to 23, impulsive, he's inconsistent, emotionally overwhelmed. He's stuck between boyhood and adulthood. And then we see a 26-year-old Lando, and he seems a lot more calm, he seems a lot more grounded, seems more emotionally secure and actually able to choose peace. And that early on-off era makes sense when you look at it developmentally. He wasn't ready, and then one day he was. And it's not scandal, it's timing. And honestly, if they stay together, amazing. If they break up one day, completely normal. Breakups are not moral failures. They are universally part of human life. And only parasocial fans will think otherwise. Whether people like it or not, Magui represents a shift in the culture of F1. She's a bridge from football WAG culture, the TikTok era of driver celebrity, the new wave of Gen Z visibility, and the blending of European influencer culture with motorsport, and the insecurity younger fans feel when a driver they parasocially love dates somebody real. And she's not just a girlfriend, she's a mirror. She reflects misogyny, beauty privilege, parasocial obsession, cultural projection, red pill backlash, fandom hypocrisy. This is why the discourse around her feels bigger than her, because it is bigger than her. So when you strip the rumors away, you get someone very human, a young woman navigating fame, love, growth, mistakes, pressure, culture, beauty, ambition, and the internet's wild imagination on top of that. Because she's not a villain or a saint or an archetype. She's a person at the end of the day. And she doesn't actually owe anybody a storyline or perfection or explanations or a character arc that makes sense to strangers online. She's allowed to grow, to change, because Magui Corceiro has always been more than the rumors. And that is a wrap on The File. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of the WAG Files After Dark. Subscribe if you would like to see more of this kind of content, and let me know if you want to see more videos in this format and what other WAGs you'd like to see. But I've had such a great time discussing this with you guys, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye!